Greetings to all viewers. This is Professor Ankit Singh. We'll now move to the next module, that is module 5 from our syllabus, that is pavement design. Okay. So these are a few basic things. We already know what a pavement is. Okay. So what is a pavement? It is the structure that carries vehicular loading. It is built over a prepared foundation. Like most structures, these are also built over foundations called as subgrade. Okay. So it is nothing but a carriageway. The carriageway itself is known as the pavement. Okay. Anything which carries the vehicular load, we can call it as a pavement. And it is prepared it is built over a prepared foundation, which here we call it as a subgrade. Okay. Like all structures like buildings and bridges, they have foundations. Okay. So here for our road, the subgrade is the foundation. Next, components of roads, we already know the pavement is on at the top, then we have the prepared foundation or the subgrade, and this subgrade would either lie on a cutting or a filling or embankment. Okay. Now pavements for various facilities. We have different types of pavements that we provide for different facilities. For example, we have airport pavements, we have haul roads or haulage roads, we have loading yards, bus terminals, highway pavements which carry low volume roads or which carry low volume traffic. Okay. Then what are the requirements of a pavement? Okay. This is the requirements of an ideal pavement. An ideal pavement should meet the following requirements. It should have sufficient thickness, it should be structurally strong, adequate coefficient of friction, it should possess a smooth surface, it should produce least noise, dust proof surface, impervious surface, and long design life with low maintenance cost. Okay. The thickness should be as sufficient so as to distribute the load coming over the layers. Okay. It should be structurally strong. There should be least deflection and least deterioration. There should be adequate coefficient of friction. Okay. In order to avoid the skidding or slipping of the vehicles. It should be smooth. It should have a smooth surface. Okay. In order to provide comfort to the road users. There should not be too many undulations on the road surface. The noise produced when vehicles move over that pavement should be less. And the surface should be dust free. It should not produce more dust. Impervious surface, so it should not be a permeable type of pavement. In order to it should not allow the water to drain into the layers of the road. And long distance life with low maintenance cost. It should have a long design life. It should have a good design life, and the maintenance cost of the road should be less. Now the types of pavements, majorly we have three types of pavements: flexible pavement, rigid pavement, and composite. Composite is nothing but a combination of the flexible and rigid. Okay. Combination of a few layers from the flexible pavement and few from rigid pavement. As we already discussed earlier on in my previous lectures, we know that flexible pavements are made out of the binder material that is used there is either bitumen or tar, and the binder material used for rigid pavements is cement. Okay, here you have a cut section of a flexible pavement and a rigid pavement. Okay, the lower layers up to the sub base or even base remain the same, the bottommost being the natural formation or it is the subgrade. Then the sub base, which is made out of aggregates and dust. Then the base layer, it might be a bituminous layer or it could be a concrete layer. or in the case of rigid pavements, we can either avoid a subbase or a base. Okay, it is not always necessary in a rigid pavement. Okay, then come the surface dressing for in case of the flexible pavement. In a rigid pavement, we may or may not provide a surface dressing. Okay. So these two figures are for a flexible pavement or a bituminous pavement, and these two are for a concrete or a rigid pavement. Okay, first we have a look at the flexible pavements. Flexible pavement normally has many layers, hence the design of flexible pavement uses the concept of layered system. Okay, so there are many layers in a flexible pavement, and we need to decide the constitution of the layers and also the depth of each layer. Flexible pavements will transmit wheel load stresses to the lower layers by grain to grain transfer through the points of contact in the granular structure. Okay, here the load transmission is by grain to grain transfer. Okay, so here in the flexible pavement there are this is a magnified image. Okay, so in the granular structure the load transmission is from one grain to the other grain. Okay, these have low or negligible flexural strength. Okay, so there is no rigidity, or there is low or very negligible rigidity which the flexible pavement will show. The flexible pavement layers reflect the deformation of the lower layers on the surface of the layer. Okay, so if there is any deformation in the base or the sub base, then it will be reflected on the surface layer. Okay, this here is a flexible pavement having a subgrade, subbase, base and a surface course. This is the same with a cross section. Now flexible pavement, it will have these layers. First one is a compacted subgrade which might range from 150 to 300 mm. This is the thickness of this layer, and subbase course from 100 to 300 mm, base course from 100 to 300 mm, binder course wherein we introduce the bitumen or tar, okay, plus the aggregates. This could range from 50 to 100 mm, and then the surface course from 25 to 50 mm. Okay, then there are different coats of bitumen that we can apply. Okay, intermediate or on the top of the layers. Okay, that are tack coat, seal coat and prime coat. We'll learn about these in detail later on. Now the typical layers of a flexible pavement, as already shown in the above figure, are seal coat, surface course, tack coat, binder course, prime coat, base course, subbase course, compacted subgrade and the natural subgrade. Okay, now we'll have a look at each of these layers moving from the top. Okay, coming from top to the bottom. So the first or the topmost layer or the coating is of a seal coat. Now let us try to understand what a seal coat is. Seal coat is a liquid that is applied to the surface to protect it from oxidation and the damage caused by winter cracking as well as UV rays and traffic. Okay, so it is nothing but a thin bituminous layer. Okay, it is a bituminous or a tar layer, okay, which we apply on the top of the road in order to protect the road from oxidation and damage caused from winter cracking and also from UV rays. Then comes the surface course. Surface course is a layer directly in contact with traffic loads, generally contains superior quality of materials. Okay, so as we move from top to bottom, the quality of the materials will reduce. Okay, the material to be used at the top would be of the superior quality. They are usually constructed with dense graded asphalt concrete. Okay, so asphalt is nothing but it is bitumen only. Okay, so impure bitumen, it is known as asphalt. It provides characteristics such as friction, smoothness, drainage, etc. Also, it will prevent the entrance of excessive quantity of surface water into the underlying layers. Okay, since we provide camber and also longitudinal slope, so the water is drained off from the surface course, so it will prevent the water from entering the underlying layers. Then we have a tack coat. Okay, so what is a tack coat? It is a thin coating of tar or asphalt applied before a binder course is laid to form a adhesive bond. Okay, so in order to provide a adhesion between two layers. Okay, so here in this pictorial diagram you can see there are two layers. In order to glue them, we need to provide a adhesive. Okay, so this adhesive course is nothing but the tack coat. Okay, it is also a bituminous coat. We apply a thin layer of bitumen. It must be thin, uniformly cover the entire surface and set very fast. Then we have the binder course. In asphaltic concrete paving, an intermediate course between the base course and the surfacing material is present, called the binder course. Okay, so in between the surface course and the base course there is a bituminous or asphaltic concrete paving, which is known as the binder course. It consists of intermediate size aggregate bound by bituminous material. Okay, this layer is used in order to provide strength to the road and also to provide flexibility. Then we have prime coat. Prime coat is an application of low viscosity asphalt to a granular base in preparation for an initial layer or surface layer of asphalt. Okay, it is also a coating which is provided in between layers. Okay, but we use this prime coat in between a non-bituminous layer and a bituminous layer. Okay, it generally provides adhesion between the base course and the succeeding asphalt course. It penetrates into the layers below, plugs the voids and forms a watertight surface. So what happens is, we apply this prime coat on top of an aggregate layer, a layer which does not consist or does not possess any bituminous binder in it. Okay, if we provide a bituminous layer over the non-bituminous layer, then there are chances that the bitumen might flow into the aggregates or the non-bituminous layer which is having voids. So this will cause a loss of bitumen. Okay, the binder would get reduced. If the binder gets reduced, then there are chances of fatigue, deformation. Okay, so in order to avoid that, what we do, we prime the existing aggregate layer. Okay, so we apply a thin bituminous coat on top of a aggregate layer so that the voids are plugged and the bitumen from the upper bituminous layer will not enter the aggregate layer. Okay, so mainly this prime coat is provided in between a binder course and a base course. It penetrates into the layer below, plugs the voids and forms a watertight surface. After applying the prime coat, it must cure for a minimum of 48 to 72 hours before asphalt is placed, with no rain in the forecast. Okay, so this here is a priming operation. We have a non-bituminous course over here of aggregate and dust. If we plan to add in a layer of binder course on top of this layer, then we need to prime it first. Hence we are applying a prime coat. This is bitumen. Okay, this is low viscosity bitumen. Okay, as you can see here, this is the aggregate base or subbase course. What we do is we apply the bitumen over here. The bitumen will penetrate up to some depth and plug in all the voids in this area so that we can Now place a binder course on top of this with no loss of bitumen. Bitumen will not later on flow to the lower layers, so there would be no loss of bitumen in that layer. Okay. Then we have the base course. The base course is the layer of material immediately beneath the binder course. It provides additional load distribution and contributes to the subsurface drainage. It may be composed of crushed stone, crushed slag and other untreated or stabilized materials. Okay, so basically it is made out of aggregates and dust, and we can add water to this layer and compact it to improve its strength. Okay, so this layer is a additional layer for load distribution. Okay, and also contributes to the subsurface drainage. Okay, this here is a construction of a base course. You can see we have the mix over here. We place it and then compact it using a roller. Then we have the subbase course. The subbase course is a layer of material beneath the base course. The primary functions are to provide structural support, improve drainage, and reduce intrusion of fines from the subgrade. Okay, so the subbase is also an aggregate layer. Okay, but the aggregate size is more here. Okay, so the aggregates are of larger size as compared to the base course. Now this layer helps us for draining out the water and also to avoid the soil particles from the underlying layer to come to the base course. Okay, a subbase course is not always needed for or used. For example, a pavement constructed over a high quality material, in such situations subbase course may not be provided. Okay, so this is a additional layer which may or may not be provided, depends on the environment. Then they have the bottommost layer, that is the subgrade soil. The supporting soil beneath pavement and its special undercourses is called subgrade. Undisturbed soil beneath the pavement is called natural subgrade, and compacted subgrade is the soil compacted by controlled movement of heavy compactors. Okay, so subgrade is the natural soil that is present. Okay, if we compact the soil before road construction, then it is compacted subgrade, and if we do not compact, then it is known as a natural subgrade. Okay, soil we compact it using the rollers. Okay, so the next type of pavement is rigid pavement. I will continue with this in my next class. Thank you.